Carol will be up shortly. In Hey everybody, welcome to the Santita Jackson Show, AM 950 Radio, the voice of Progressive Minnesota, Progressive Minnesota, Progressive Minnesota. We've got a lot to talk about, everybody, as we're looking at the deployment of troops in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, perhaps in Chicago. They say that's coming. But it happened in Los Angeles. The Pentagon memo that was reported by the Washington Post said that this is not something that is happening casually. Social unrest is expected to happen in response to the big beautiful bill and the cuts. We've had $1 trillion in cuts to our healthcare system alone. That's not counting the cuts to SNAP and WIC. The social safety net that was put in place after America had really a revolution after the Great Depression. Because we got a revolutionary president in who they called a traitor to his class, FDR. And he had to really institute programs that many people agree are socialist in nature because it took care of everybody. Can you imagine going to the bank and finding out that the bank, you have no money and you're not going to get any money back? Oh, that you don't have to imagine it. There was no FDIC then.
Yeah.
But then you also had another gilded age. You had a very, very wealthy class of people who were doing just fine. They were doing better than they'd ever done. So we got to talk about that because we're seeing that right now. We have people who are on track to become trillionaires. We don't have a democracy, everybody. We have a technocracy. We're being monitored all the time. Before you get a job, your prospective employer looks at your social footprint, which means you get a social credit score. We're not calling it that, but that's what it is. There's a lot going on. We're being monitored. And when you really look at that, it seems that we're no longer free. Freedom is something that you have to fight for, and you have to fight to keep it. And while we can say that we certainly have had our moments in the United States, there's no question about that. We've had an experience. But the fact is, my father often reminds me and all of us that if you don't fight, you're guaranteed to lose. But if you do fight, you just might win. And every fight in which we've engaged for our freedoms, we have won. So, what does it mean when we say in a civilian society, not a military society, civilian society, that our only alternative, our only answer to violence is a violent force, the military? They're not peacekeepers. That's not what they do. What does it say that when we're deploying the National Guard? The National Guard are a very interesting group. The officers take an oath to the Constitution, but their rank and file take an oath to the president. That's different. What about ICE? They come into our communities masked up. We don't even know who they are. They don't identify themselves. And so you could have anybody coming up to you in this environment, and they don't have to be someone who is above board. They could be a criminal. And they're just absconding with people. There was a young man in Maryland, a young black man in Maryland who was wearing a crossbody bag. The FBI who were in his neighborhood thought that his bag looked like it was a little too full. They arrested him and put him in jail for a week. That's coming also. But my question is for you, are there any upsides to this? Because I am also sensitive to the fact that there are a good many people in the black community in particular, and some Latinos, and some working class whites who feel that this could be a good thing. This might quell some of the violence, even though the violence in America has been going down. And they've been tremendous drops. And I can really attest to that in Chicago because we've had a mayor who's really been fighting to put social programs in. He said, I want to fight with compassion. And maybe we don't deserve someone who wants to fight with compassion. Maybe we need someone. Maybe that's what we really want. I don't think you want that. I think you want someone who leads with love. That's the only thing that's going to help us here. Because our children are being told in ways great and small that they don't matter. You're eliminating the Department of Education. Your education does not matter. Please, you can't afford to go to college if you want to. Think about it. State schools cost you tens of thousands of dollars a year. And the big, beautiful bill cut your access to student loans. So, what are you supposed to do? Think about that, everybody. Think about it. And so, in this moment, in which the overlords in our society are expecting social unrest, there's a memo from the Pentagon that came up, and they said, you know what, hey, um, in order to quell the social unrest, we plan to deploy the military on American cities in a civilian society. Think about that, everybody. So I wanted to get some of the people. Renee is always in the comments. And I said, no, she's a retired teacher. She has raised children successfully. She's got a wonderful grandchild. I mean, she's invested in the community. And she knows what works. She also understands our children because she's taught them. She's loved them. Not just her own, although that would be enough. Dr. LaShawn Latrice, who is a wife and a mother and a grandmother, and she's a community psychologist. So she looks at the whole community, our, our state of being. And then we've got Shapiro Wells. Shapiro Wells, who's with us today. Indeed, she just finished running for office. She just missed it, but boy, did she learn a lot. We can't wait for her to run for office again and get in that office and make some more change. But she's a great philanthropist, and we are so grateful for her and the work that she does, not just for this show, but just for the whole community. And she's a great chef also. That's right. We love her food. Hello, hello. So let's get started because I was struck by this article in The Root that really emphasized the fact that many African Americans in particular have said, wait a minute, not so fast. These Democrats have not done a good job protecting us in our cities. And then you have President Trump saying, I've got some black women, some beautiful black women who've come to me and they have said, hey, we need you to deal with crime on our streets. I I believe him because he did win. He cracked the code with the black vote. Now there is no longer um, Democrats no longer have can lay ownership, sole ownership to the black vote. That's over. But no one can do that anyway. This duopoly's been broken. It's been broken. These young people, they don't want to hear about any of the parties. They want to know who's going to deliver. They don't care who the deliverer is. They just want you to deliver. That's what they want. And I'm not mad at them. Not mad at them. I think that they're absolutely right. Do you know that we've only had one president in our history, Renee? Dr. LaShawn Latrice Shapiro, who's been an independent, and that was George Washington. He was not a member of a party. He felt that a two-party system or being a member of a party, particularly as a president, he said that's dangerous. You don't serve a party, you serve the people. And I really wish every president, once they won, I've said this to you before, I think they should not, I think they should leave their parties and stand for me. How about that part? Yep, it's possible. Because I don't want a Democratic president. I want democracy. I don't want a Republican president. I want the Republic to be saved. How about that part?
I agree.
So let's talk about now what it's going to look like in America for Americans to see tanks on our streets, to see people masked up who are walking through your neighborhood. You don't know who they are. And some people feel safer. And I want for those of you who are not from Chicago who are tuning in, our mayor lives in one of these neighborhoods that people say is not the nicest neighborhood. He and his wife could afford to live anywhere else in the city, but they have stayed on the west side of Chicago because they believe in that neighborhood. They sent their children to school there. And they decided to put 10 toes down in the Austin community and be a beacon of light unto that community. I have to tell you, I can't help but have a lot of love for him and Pastor Hatch and you, Renee, and so many people who do that, because I think of what it has meant for our heroes to live in our communities, for them to have access to us. People used to stop and play on our basketball court, and they wouldn't even ask. When I was growing up, and my bedroom overlooked the basketball court, so you'd hear all this noise, and I'm trying to read, and I had headphones, I had a stereo, so I could just block it out. But my father said, "You don't know what it's going to mean for somebody someday to say that they came to our house." And that, when it got warm outside, my mother was always going to barbecue that they could eat there. And I'm bumping into people now who say that. You don't know me, but I used to play in your backyard. I'm like, oh, okay. It means a lot. So if he's saying to you, and he's not always been married, he's only been married for a couple of years, what he's saying to you, wait a minute, as a father of children, and he's a history teacher, everybody. He said, wait a minute, I don't know if you really want to have the tanks on the streets. Now, I have spoken and I have framed this conversation, but I'd like to start with you, Renee, because you have a lot to say. And we're going to let Dr. LaShawn Latrice come behind everybody because, she's taking notes and examining everyone, because that's what doctors do. I think I should probably kick her out the chat. What do you think? I know she's frightening. Whenever you have a psychologist with you, you don't know what they're judging you. They're judging you. But okay.
Well, thank you for inviting me to your panel.
Our panel.
To our panel. I usually do my talking with my fingers, typing or writing.
Oh, girl, you are typing somebody.
I feel very comfortable doing that. But I do like to share my opinion on things. So thank you for giving this platform. Um, it's it's been great living in the neighborhood, running into students. They look at you like you're a rock star when they see you in a grocery store or someplace, like they hadn't just seen you at school. I'm retired, but my heart is still uh, with children and with trying to teach. That's why I'm online. I guess I'm trying to teach people what I know,
Mhm.
or the information that I've gathered. Um, Regarding what's going on in Chicago, we have a lot of people who are pro-Trump. Before I retired, one of my students told me that her mom was voting for Trump. I taught. I was in the Austin neighborhood. Um, they had a rally for Trump. Um, in 2024 on
Mhm.
Madison and Central, which is in the heart of Austin. So Trump definitely had his boots on the ground, unlike the Democrats.
He did that in the black community in New York. I
Mhm,
mean, and it was packed.
mhm. They knew what to do, and while they used some people who I consider to be they spew a lot of propaganda, and they seem to be available to the highest bidder sometimes.
Mm.
Um, he knew who to use to get his word out. So I can't fault him for that. I can fault the Democrats for not doing what they should have done. But when I think about some of the people who are anxious for Trump to send in the troops, like one young man who's an influencer who was um, on the internet, and he was quoted by the Root. This young man he's very, seems to be very pro Trump. And that means anti-Democrat because he talks about how the Democrats aren't doing anything for Black people, even though I can't see anything that Trump is actually doing to help us. He wants to send troops in, not because he wants to help the people of Chicago. He calls Chicago a hellhole. And
Mm.
when you have such negative views about a place, I don't know how much you are really going to try to help the people in those places, especially since he's been quoted as calling our children savages. And if you call somebody a savage, it often you try to do something to hurt those savages, to get rid of those savages, not to help them. So I don't think Trump is coming in or sending in troops with the mindset to help the people of Chicago, especially not the Black and brown community members of Chicago. I think he's coming in to do um, like a cops episode where he can show the world how he treats these savages um, on live television. I don't look forward to him coming. I don't think anything good will come out of it.
What do you think you're going to see?
Um, People being accosted in the streets, black people and brown people being stopped by the police, maybe attacked. And I think about the mayor of, where was he, in New Jersey, that got arrested
Oh,
along with the
yeah,
congressman.
Ross Baraka in Newark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I pray for our mayor Johnson because uh, he has stood up for what's right and he hasn't backed down to Trump. I don't want them to make an example of him. So you know what, I'm really prayerful that nothing happens to him, um, or to anyone. But I don't know, Santita. I'm not looking forward to this or what happens. But maybe enough people have been vocal with the mayor and the governor and others standing up, and the march that they had Monday, which I wish I had made it to. Maybe maybe that will keep them from doing some of what they plan to do. That's what I hope and pray.
Well, I mean, Chaparral, what do you see?
Santita, thank you so much for having me on. I like to know where they plan to go. Because what I'm seeing when we look at DC and LA, where they're already deployed, they're not in the hood where the crime is occurring. They're in the downtown areas and the rich areas protecting the rich. So when Trump gets on here and said black women, I want to know what type of black women, because there's a lot of black women that live in Chicago. Are you talking about the rich black elite who have no connection with people in urban Chicago? Who are you speaking of? Because I don't know any black women who have a connection with urban Chicago who are out here saying advocating for the troops to come in. And then when you say that, hey, let the troops in, what is that really going to look like? I don't think people really understand what this means. It means that you will have stop and frisk laws on the street, and they have legally be able to do that, which means that they're going to be racially profiling you, your children, your husbands, and your even your daughters, your sons and daughters. Everybody's going to be racially profiled. I haven't seen in LA or in DC them arresting or pulling over or stopping a mass amount of white people. The people that are being stopped and pulled over and arrested are predominantly black and brown. That is by design. So, me as a black person will never invite that type of situation to my doorstep. And so when I hear that black and brown people are advocating for a police state, because that's essentially what we're going to have, it saddens me because I'm like, you don't realize what you're asking for. And when we think about those who support, Trump, and those who say, oh, the Democrats, yes, I am not 100% happy with the Democratic Party at all. I will never tell you that. I'm very disappointed. I'm very critical of the Democratic Party. However, the Democrats are not threatening to bring martial law into America. They're not doing that. And so I think that we have to think about what we'll be losing, because once we give it up, our freedoms and our constitutional rights, it's very hard to get it back.
Mhm.
It's very hard to get it back. And we're putting ourselves more at risk. And people are saying that they feel safer with the military. I'm like, no, I don't feel safer with the military. I don't trust police at all, period. No matter what type of degree that they have or what pedigree they have. I just don't trust them because of what I've seen them do. Even throughout the years, and we have seen the military turn on us too. So it's not just the police, and that means that we'll have ICE, the feds, the police. That's like four against one. And then you coming up here masked. If somebody came up and approached me masked and grabbing on me, it's my natural instinct to retaliate against them, because they're not announcing who they are. They don't have anything that say, "Oh, I'm this." Well, why are you touching me? So when we invite this type of drama into our lives, we put ourselves at risk for more harm than we do good. So I ask people who are asking for the military to come into this space to rethink it, rethink about what you're giving up, because it's going to be a mess out here.
You think it's going to be a mess?
It's going to be a complete mess. People are already mobilizing, and like I said, as Tio was saying before, in the previous hour, that some of the young brothers, they have military style weapons, and you think that they're not going to use it?
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, it might be a blood. I'm praying it don't, but it might be a bloodbath out here in these streets.
Well, and I hope not, because see, the thing is, this is happening, Dr. Latrice, within a context in which people are scared. People have less money and less money and less money and less money. You cannot afford rent, a mortgage. Increasingly, renting an apartment, let alone owning a home, is out of beyond your grasp. Your educational opportunities are being shut down. SNAP and WIC, boom. Social Security, that's being phased out. They have cut $1 trillion from the healthcare budget, Medicare and Medicaid. What they want a 70 or 70-year-old to get up and go to work? And are you serious? What is that?
They
Why do
want
I have to?
to
Why do I
die.
have to? Yeah, I mean, well, they asked Peter Thiel in an interview just a, days ago, are people going to be necessary? He he couldn't answer the question, and the interviewer said, "Wait a minute, you're pausing a little bit too long." And he said, "Yeah, those are the people who are running the show, Dr. LaShawn Latrice. People who don't really like people,
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know. You're not willing to help me do anything else, but you want to bring in the military. I mean, are you serious right now, Dr. LaShawn Latrice?"
Well, I agree with both Chappelle and Renee in your perspective, in the respect that we need to understand how serious this is, how degrading it is, and how it's going to impact the communities. I do think they're targeting Black and Brown communities. I think that the idea, the notion that they need to have military in these communities are geared towards the certain groups of people. And even based on what some of the people who are in those states where they're already located have seen and have experienced, it is below degrading. It's almost dehumanizing to the point where you don't have any rights, even though you do have rights. You just think about it. They took a military uh, organization like the National Guard, who is not trained to deal with people on a daily basis, and they plop them in these communities, and then they're not supposed to cross these boundaries, and they cross them anyway because they go behind the scenes and say, do whatever you have to do. And then people are heightened. Now they're on the defense. Now they're waiting, they're mobilizing. groups of organizations have collaborated across the state of Illinois, from what I know, and there are mechanisms in place. But then there's the other side of those people who don't attend any of those meetings, who don't know what's going on, and who don't know what to expect. And what happens when people are in fear? They react. And so if you are pushing people to the point where they're fearful about what's to come, because it's being talked about as if the big bad wolf is coming to your town and he's going to lock you all up, and he's going to get everything in order. It's almost like we have no more freedom. Just like Chappelle said, it's being ripped right underneath us. And it reminds me of when I thought about Hurricane Katrina, how these people were residents of this place, and all of a sudden they became refugees.
Right.
And I think about this from this perspective, that people will almost feel like they're no longer a part of their communities anymore. They have to be under some realm with somebody telling them what to do, what time to go to bed, and things like that. That stuff is just not going to fly over well with people at all. People are traumatically impacted to the point where they're like, well, I have my conceal to carry, I have my weapon, and people have to understand we still have the National Guard, who is innocent in this, in the respect of they're doing their job, what they're put out there to do. But
and wait a minute, and these are weekend warriors.
There you go.
I'm not diminishing them,
Right.
but they're not full-time soldiers. That's not what they do.
No.
And it's like, to your point, I feel like they're being put in harm's way.
Yep.
And they're not coming here personally to mean any harm. They're from the communities. So Dr. Latrice, I mean, what does this do to a community?
I believe it's ripping the community apart, because right now we already struggle to be a community, to exist in a community. To now know that you're going to be policed to the magnitude where someone is literally looking over your shoulder, watching where you go. You don't know what to expect. And then there's law enforcement, National Guard. How do those two things work together in this type of situation? Nobody knows what to expect. And you really can't predict it, because right now, those of us who are not sure, we're retreating. We're doing whatever we have to do to protect ourselves. And then those of us who are on the grassroots out here in the community trying to educate people, we're just trying to spread the word. You have rights. You need to link up with organizations. Go to your local church. Go to the community. Employ those people and bring everybody together so people could feel like they have some kind of unified effort at protecting one another. Right now, I just believe it's just utter chaos.
Yeah, by design. If Trump really wanted to help us, he would work things out with the mayor and with the governor so they could coordinate what they wanted to do, so that they would know where they were needed. Instead, he's going to invade our city, just like you invade another country. And when you invade a place, you don't go in there treating the people in a nicely. You go over there and you do acts of violence against people to show that you're the boss. If he really wanted to help, we have an unsolved murder rate for blacks that's very high. He could send in people to help try to solve some of these crimes, because quite often it's the same people who are causing all the problems, and they don't get picked up. They're left
To commit another crime.
to commit more crimes. They will pick up somebody innocent and let them sit in jail until hopefully somebody can prove their innocence, while they sometimes let known criminals continue to do damage in our neighborhoods, because we're 80% of the murder victims in this city, and our solve rate for our murders is very low. And from some articles that I read, families of the victims say that after maybe the first time that they talk to the police after their loved one has been killed, it's very hard to get in touch with those officers to find out what's going on, if they've gotten any new information. And I know Chappelle has had experience with that. But We need somebody to help solve some murders. And, I'm very suspicious about what happened over the weekend. They say just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. It's just sort of suspicious that we had such a spike in crime this weekend, which will help justify Trump sending people in to help get things under control. We don't know who's shooting us because they didn't apprehend anybody. Is it another black person going around shooting people? There are only like three or four of the shootings over the weekend where it was like an interpersonal thing where somebody shot somebody they knew. But what about all the other ones where somebody just opened fire from their vehicle or walked down the street and they shot and killed somebody? They don't know who's doing it. They don't know who's
Renee,
behind it.
they're not sending the National Guard up to Minneapolis.
No, they're not. Or to Austin, Texas, I believe it was, where that man killed some people.
Pick an area. I mean, goodness gracious. You have these people who walk in shooting people in clumps, masses of people. Buffalo, New York, and yet nothing. Are you serious? So this is about everybody. I believe this is about creating a police state. And you got to be very, very careful, because what is coming, and they know this is coming, social unrest. Because all you have to do is look at the congressional town hall meetings. I mean, those meetings could devolve into chaos very easily. But they have some parentheses, because guess what? They have some breaks on that because people are going home. What about people who haven't lost their job yet? What about people who, okay, wait a minute, next year, when these checks get smaller, Social Security, right? Wait a minute, when your Medicaid benefits are slashed and Medicare, wait. They know what's coming. And that is why they're deploying these troops into the streets. They've already written it down as a Pentagon memo. And I'm like, wait a minute. Chaparral makes the point. Once you give up a right, it's hard to get it back.
Right.
Now Robert says that you're making some valid points, Renee. So continue on. I mean, because Desmond Martin 224. How you doing, sweetie? You said, I don't think everyone's afraid of the National Guard patrolling the neighborhood. Let me put my glasses on so I can make sure I get this right. But it's nothing crazy, because criminals will just wait for the National Guard to leave to do what they've been doing. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, when you take all of the wraparound services out of a community, I mean, when I was a child, a long time ago, you had park districts that were very active.
That's right.
I mean, we used to have talent shows. Remember those, everybody?
Yes.
At high schools all over the city. And you couldn't wait to go to the high school, to different high schools, because we're about the same age. And so you couldn't wait to go to the high schools, to go to the different talent shows. We used to have them at Push all the time. And it was big fun. You were rooting for your friends. There was a way for you to have some really good, clean fun.
That's right.
And all that's been taken away from Americans. And I think we need to start focusing on what's been removed from us.
That's right.
Because you need, I mean, anytime, look, I'll pull this up for you. I want you to hear this. Peter Thiel, Palantir, he was in this, hold on, I'm going to turn this all the way up so you can hear this.
The Antichrist?
No, because
they asked him about that.
This is the man who's going to do a lecture series on, this is the co-founder of Palantir. And this is, according to this TikTok summation, he doesn't care if the human race survives. Check this out.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would.
This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit in this.
You would prefer the human race to endure.
Okay.
Right?
What do you think about that?
Santita, I don't know if it was that same interview, but
It was
Peter,
later in that interview. Go on.
he had said that maybe Greta, the young lady who's trying to save the climate, the environment, he said maybe she's the antichrist, right? And and the interviewer asked him, he said, well, you have all this technology and you're surveying everybody everywhere. He said, some might think that you're the antichrist. And he really didn't have a good answer to come back for that either. We are in some dangerous times with these people being in control.
And I'm supposed to listen to him talk about Jesus. Are you for real? I mean, how crazy is that? And how crazy are you? But see, that goes to our misplaced values.
That's right.
Because what we're doing, oh, Chaperone, you know what? You need to click us into, what is it called? Into Instagram. That shows you that our values are off. Because you know what we're doing? What we need, we equate your goodness and your success with the money you make.
Right.
That's
So no. So I'm not gonna blame anyone but us for that. Because we say you're from a good family if your family has money. Now you find out later on that these families are just as crazy.
That's right.
I mean that so and so that the father was abusive, the mother was out of it or something. It's like, wait a minute, hold on, what are we doing? And so that's why I'm saying, wait a minute. I don't think we're going to resolve the moral crisis that we face as a nation with guns. We need another kind of revolution, or as Reverend Dr. Marshall Hatch said yesterday, a re-evolution, which is really what revolution is, a re-evolution.
And Santita, what we actually need is investment in our communities.
Yeah.
You cannot continue to strip resources away from our school system, from our workforce. You can't, I mean, we had what, 300,000 Black women lose their jobs in the last
3
6
months.
months.
No, in
In
3
3 months.
months.
You know, so I mean, you cannot continue to deplete all of our resources and then expect us to still remain the same. And you know, that's what we need. We don't need military police deployed. We need resources deployed, and then deployed with the right organizations, because a lot of, like I said the other day, the white organizations are the ones that are actually getting the funding. The Black organizations do not have access to the capital. And we are the people that's on the street and in the community every day trying to do what we can, coming out of our own pockets to try to serve the community. Give us some access to these resources so that way we can get the help that these kids need. And we can do the work. The work, people are on the ground. They know what needs to be done. We know that we need job training. We need trade training. We need all of that. That's the type of deployment that we need for our president to send to us here in Chicago. That's what we need. We need resources, not military.
And
but is that their goal?
They wouldn't live in neighborhoods in which you had masked people patrolling. They wouldn't live in neighborhoods where the National Guard would be patrolling the neighborhoods. They would not tolerate that. And yet we're supposed to. You talk about people being savages. These folks are calling these people in Gaza animals. Human animals. Are you for real?
As they shoot.
That's what they're doing. Because you know, when you dehumanize someone, you don't govern them, you manage them. And when you manage them, you can eliminate them. We better watch it, everybody, because you're asking for something you do not, and Robert says facts, Chapearl. You don't know what you're asking for. And something's got to happen, but we have a values problem, and that is not going to be resolved at the tip of a gun.
No. Well, you know, J. Edgar Hoover once said that he wanted to stop the rise of another Black Messiah, as he killed off so many of our leaders back in the 60s. They know what it takes for us to rise up and to be self-sufficient and to have good jobs and take care of our communities. So they purposely try to pull that away from us. They take resources away
Mhm.
from us. I know some Black people say that we need to do things for ourselves, and I say I pay taxes. I pay federal income taxes. I pay property taxes. I pay sales tax. Um, shouldn't I get something? Shouldn't we get something in return for what we pay? We pay just like they pay. But if I'm a billionaire, I might get some extra welfare from the government, though they won't call it welfare.
Well,
Uh,
that's what it
their
is.
fair share of taxes, but they're entitled to get more than we are supposed to get. And that's the descendant of an enslaved person and somebody who has a trace amount of Native American ancestry in me, they owe us. But that's another conversation. But instead of paying us what they owe us, they are mad that they owe us. So they try to demonize us instead of admitting that, they've done wrong by us. And that's part of this whole problem. And you have Stephen Miller who said he wants this country to look like him. I don't look like Stephen Miller. So part of the agenda is to get rid of people who look like me, even if it means,
Even though he's only like 2 generations in. I mean,
right,
real? What's this?
right.
I mean, no. Because what trace amounts? No, I know I've got significant amounts of Native American blood,
Hello.
and significant amounts of, my grandmother was raised by her Irish grandfather. I
Right.
get it, and you know what?
Mm-hmm.
We built this country. My blood's here.
We did.
How about that part?
Mm-hmm.
So no, because we are so indigenous here to this American experiment.
Mm-hmm.
All the rejects of the world. That's I embody them. The Irish, the African, and the indigenous people. That's me. My father was over in Ireland, and they said, "Oh, Jesse, we hear you're part Irish. You're your granddad." And my father was like, "Wait a minute, I'm trying to find." I was like, "Well, remember your great grandfather? You remember he was named so and so, so and so." They found the village, but he came over here. He was Irish. People weren't checking for him.
Mm-hmm.
Please, he was marrying up when he got my great grandmother. What you talking about? What? Keeping it 100, y'all. Keeping it 100.
Yes.
Get on out of here. I mean, and when you start looking at those strains that flow through your blood
Mm-hmm.
or through your veins, it's telling an American story.
Mm-hmm.
We found that some of our relatives traveled the Trail of Tears.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Oh wow, okay." And wait a minute. And then I thought about the Irish. Okay, so my great grandfather, when he married my great grandmother, he had an affinity with her. Remember, the green from the red black, our liberation flag comes from the Irish.
Right.
So when he saw her, I'm sure he saw something else because he raised all of my great aunts.
Mm-hmm.
They went to Yale, UPenn. He became a very prosperous businessman, and he wanted for his daughters, and he pushed for them. So wait, we have to examine all of our history, right? And that's on my father's side, my father's mother's side.
Uh-huh.
It's important for us to understand that because you see all of the rejection,
Mm-hmm.
all of the pain, all of the possibilities, and that's important. And so I'm just saying here, when people came to the United States and we were brought here,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't sign up for a police state. We didn't sign up for monarchy. I mean, somehow or another, this American family, there's some things that just won't work for any of us.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm like Harry and Meghan. I think they're wonderful, and God knows I wish them well. I really do. But you should not be a duchess and a duke over here. That doesn't work here.
Right.
As a matter of fact, according to our Constitution, it's illegal. So now you can be whatever your last name is. Y'all figure it out because you got the D's on it. That's why you get a last name.
Mm-hmm.
Since y'all own Sussex over there. Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not with it. I don't want royalty here.
Right.
I don't care about that. Nah. And I don't, I want the military to have their place.
Mm-hmm.
But I want my president to be superior to the military. We run this country, not the military.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
And I respect them and I appreciate them.
Yeah.
But wait. You know that I mean, Dwight Eisenhower wouldn't salute the military. The first person to do that was an actor who became president, and now we know that he wasn't all there. So
Mm-hmm.
he was just this was another role for him, girl. I think they gave him the script before he came off the plane.
Yeah. I don't think this one is all there either, Santita. I think he's a figurehead being used by Musk and Teal and
Well,
Russell
yeah,
Gold and all the other oligarchs who've taken over this country. And
but
we
isn't that
have
the
deep.
president now? That's what the president does, right? They're figureheads.
True. Well, he's even more so because I think cognitively he's been on the decline for a while. I think he's very narcissistic, so he's easy to be used by them because they can inflate his ego. They let him get on and say he's the greatest at this and he's the first to do that. They let him. They fuel his narcissistic tendencies as they run this country.
No, but they're using his personality to distract
Yeah,
us.
I think
Because
so. I think
because
so.
really, what a correctional officer for the lockdown. You said, what about Sleepy Joe? I mean, we should know now
Mm-hmm.
that whoever's in that office doesn't matter now. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yes.
It really doesn't. Because you need to see all these people who are running things.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a technocracy.
Yeah.
People get Elon Musk makes $8 million a day. And even he's not at the tippity top.
No.
You got the bankers whose names, the people who really run the world, we don't even
Mm-hmm.
know their names.
Mm-hmm.
So, everybody stop getting caught up in the personality of Trump.
Yeah.
Because he really is not the point. God bless him. He's not. They're using him. Like,
They're showing it. Mm-hmm.
because the presidency itself is not constructed. It is not constructed for one person to run it.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that from President Biden. And you can see it from that congresswoman who had dementia forever.
Oh yeah.
And her staff but that's how the government runs.
Mm-hmm.
Your staff can run it.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the breaks. That's how they save the system.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we have to be smarter than that. We have to ask, okay, wait a minute, who's got the government contracts?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and who's running all the spyware? We need to know those things. How free is Facebook?
Not at all.
Okay. So we're so caught up in the personalities that we're not looking at the policies and the practices that are controlling our lives.
Mm-hmm.
President Trump, oh, come on, you all. Tremendous personality, but that ain't, and a lot of charisma. I just wish he used it differently.
Yeah.
I really do. And my
Yeah.
father even said that. He said, charisma, he said it to me not too long ago. It's a gift of the spirit. He said, and what pains me is he is not using his gift
Yeah.
the way that God needs him to use it.
True.
I don't know what else to say. So you know what? We only have about 6 or 7 minutes left here. I want you all to tell me what you're hearing from people. Do they think, are they anxious? Are they getting ready? Are they staying ready so they don't have to get ready? Because Chicago's a little bit different. I love this city. These folks. I'm like, are you sure you want to do this? Chicago's a little different.
So I just want to say, make no mistake, I'm seeing some of the comments as well. People are not fearful of the National Guard. Let's get that straight.
Right.
They are fearful of the act of employing the military operatives over law enforcement. That what that looks like is we don't care about your level of law enforcement. They're not functioning right. We're going to send somebody in and they're going to teach them how to do their jobs and we're going to take over. That's what people are fearful of. It is the unknown. You can't say that people should be okay with military people walking up and down communities who have never been there before. So I don't really understand how people could even get that confused. For me, I believe in uniting with people so that we can actively come together and know what's happening in our space enough to protect one another, to inform people of their rights, but to kind of keep that trauma from being exacerbated by all of these unknowns and the chaos that's being put forth in the media. So while we see the president pushing this towards Chicago and we see the pushback that he's getting, what I don't see is the Democratic Party or the parties bucking up against it. I don't see that. I don't see people saying this should not happen. I see pastors, I see community orgs, I see grassroots organizations. I don't see the people that say they represent the people. I don't see them necessarily out there at the forefront going toe to toe with this whole concept.
What do you want to see them do? What do you want to see
I
them
would like to see them be more proactive and putting measures in place so these kind of things cannot happen and the voices of the people can actually be represented. It does not feel like we have adequate representation right now because I don't know if those people are fearful of saying something and fear of retaliation, or they just are agreeable with it. It's one or the other. And so right now we don't have forces in front of us saying we're going to protect the people that have voted us in to make sure things are put in. We do not feel that. And that's what I'm getting from people. That's why they're like, you can't rely on these politicians. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. You have one or two or three that are saying something, but for the most part, there should be a general consensus of people representing the people. Right now, that's not happening. So what we're doing, we have to employ ourselves. We have to educate ourselves. We have to put people on the forefront so that the babies going to school can be protected, the elderly walking up and down the street can be protected, and just everyday people will know their rights and know that they're still valued as people and not continue to be dehumanized.
All right. I mean, Renee.
Well, there are some people who want them to come in, but like I said earlier, I think some of those are people who are on the payroll of Trump, and others who are influenced by people who are paid to influence them to be in favor of what Trump is doing with the National Guard.
You mean these social media influencers?
And some activists that I have personally seen who seem to be available for the highest bidder to persuade people to do whatever they're paid to persuade them for. And then there are some people who don't really look up information for themselves and they just blindly follow. But a lot of people don't want him to send in the troops. And it matters who's giving the orders. If the same man who told the Proud Boys to stand back but stand by is guiding these troops, that makes me pause. I don't know, Santita. It doesn't seem to be a good situation. And what worries me more are the ICE agents. He's lowering the age to 18, cutting the training down in half. So you have people with undeveloped brains. They say 26 is the age for males to develop their brains, and you give them guns and give them power and sick them on a group of people, because that's what they're doing. They're sicking them on people. And the last time they came to Chicago, remember, ICE was going into schools. They were going into people's homes. They were pulling people off the street who looked like they might be an illegal immigrant, even though they weren't. That's what concerns me. They have no safeguards. We have no safeguards against them. There are no parameters put around what they can and cannot do. They're just going to be, maybe, hopefully I'm wrong, but it seems like they just let these people loose and they can do whatever they want to because they don't feel a need to follow the laws, the Constitution, and they don't respect our mayor or our governor, apparently. So,
And they don't care. They don't even clear murder. They're not even supporting the police so they can find out who's killing people in Chicago. They're not serious
Right.
about this.
Not at all.
You know, they're not. Pearl, you want to give us a last comment? Oh, Pearl, you there?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to get off mute. But basically, Santita, what I'm noticing is that, like I said earlier, I'm looking at this chat and they're telling us, hey, if you're doing the right thing, you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, we do have to worry, because many blacks have been killed when they complied and we still died. And so
Yes.
this notion of allowing us to be surveilled, allowing us to be stopped and frisked, is not a notion that I subscribe to. And no matter, even though I'm a law-abiding citizen, I don't have any criminal background. It's just the fact that I don't want to live under siege.
Right.
That's what we're basically agreeing to when we have this type of law over policing that is going to be on the streets of Chicago.
Mhm.
When you have the FBI, you have ICE agents, the regular police, and the National Guard, that is over policing. And then, like I said before, that the majority of the people that they're stopping, frisking, they already have a profile that they're looking for. They're going to be looking for young black males between the ages of 18 and 25. So that if you have children or nieces or nephews or anyone who fit that particular profile, that's who's going to get pulled over. And they have no they don't have any things that we could actually tell them, hey, you can't pull me over. They have the right. That's giving them the right to do that. I'm not willing to relinquish my rights. Like I said before, we need resources, not military, Santita, and that's just basically it.
And be very clear, this is not to keep you safe. This is to keep you quiet,
Right.
so that you will not demonstrate and air your grievances in a nonviolent way
Mm-hmm.
about the cuts to the social safety net that keeps you alive,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can make the very, very rich even more rich. So think about that. This is not to keep you safe, it's to keep you quiet, it's to keep you under control.
Mm-hmm.
This is because they want you compliant. They don't want you free. They don't want to govern you, they want to manage you.
Mm-hmm.
You just heard what Peter Thiel said when asked if people were necessary. He couldn't come up with a simple answer. He already told you. He told you, and he told you how these people think, because they see us as they see us not as people. They
Mm-hmm.
see us as savages. They see us as human animals. That's what they see.
Yeah.
And you know what, Americans, you have to rise up in a peaceful way and understand that this American project will only work when you work it. You need to get registered to vote. And if you can't register and vote, get other people registered to vote. And then when we vote, let's make sure that everyone who's been incarcerated can have their say once they've paid their debt to society. And quite frankly, I think they ought to be able to vote, period.
Me too.
I mean, they're already making up congressional districts as they count as part of the population. Let them vote. Why would you not let them vote?
In 2 states they can, right?
Yes, and they ought to be able to vote. They ought to be able to vote. Just give me a break. Just stop it. This, because even that's designed to shut people down,
Absolutely.
to shut you up. This is not to lift you up; it's to shut you up.
Right. Right.
And you ought to be insulted by that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want liberty. I want liberty, and I want to be alive to feel it. How about that? Somebody said, "Give me liberty or give me death." No, give me liberty, and I want my life.
Right.
Give me that peace.
Hello.
Hey, everybody, I love you. God bless you. And you know what? Am I saying this? Keep hope alive.
That's right.
Keep it alive.
Keep it alive. That's right. That's right. Take it off life support. Come on, shake it up and give it some air, because we can win this fight. And you know what? I think that as we move into the 250th anniversary of the Republic,
Mm-hmm.
we have some decisions to make. Dr. King said years ago, 60 years ago, where do we go from here? Chaos or community?
Mm-hmm.
That was not just a question for Black people, it's a question for everybody. If we have chaos, we will not have a country. If we have community, we will have a society.
Right.
That's right.
Let's make a decision. Stop dropping bombs. Start building schools. Start building some hospitals. How many of you need a bomb? What did Prince say at the end of 1999? Mommy, why does everybody have a bomb? We don't need that. We need our schools. We need health care. Every man, woman, and child should be able to eat, should have a nice place to live. I'm not saying you need a mansion, but you deserve that's not something you need to, that's something you deserve. Everybody deserves to live well. Now you can add to it, but I think that everybody deserves a nice place to live. Everybody deserves that. Everybody. And think about that, everybody. Let's stop thinking that you're so special. Don't think that it couldn't be you. If you keep on living, you will be on the other side of what you think about anyone and what you try to deny anyone. Be real clear. It could be you. And if you keep on living, it will be, or it'll be someone you love. So go on and bless somebody today, okay? Bless somebody. And trust me, the blessing will come through you to someone you love. Trust me. I know what I'm talking about. God bless you, everybody. The Santita Jackson Show, AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. My love to Renee Criswell, Dr. LaShawn Latrice, and Chaparral Well. And all my morning stars, love y'all. God bless. AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota.